Okay, so welcome everyone. My name is Jeff Siwik, and what I'll be presenting is my research on retirement education, a necessity for today's college students. So first, a little bit about me, so you can see why I'm talking to all of you about this. I'm a senior here at RMU, and I'm an actuarial science major. Whenever I graduate, I'll be working at Buck Consultants in their retirement department here in Pittsburgh, and I also interned there for 3 semesters, so I got to see a lot of this retirement information firsthand. And then the project that I'm presenting, I wrote for my RMU honors thesis to fulfill the requirement, and because I'm interested in it, of course. So a description of my thesis, our professors told us to start with a problem, and then work out from there. So what I took was the retirement problem in the United States today. People are facing a retirement crisis. People aren't nearly as prepared for retirement today as they should be. And we'll go into some of those facts. And then I face the problem of how do I approach people about this? How do I get this point across to everybody, especially college students who probably aren't thinking about retirement ever? So that was difficult. I had to figure out a way to keep it interesting, but keep it relevant as well, and make it informative. So how I did this is I gave 2 seminars on retirement education. I gave one that was open to the public of the university. I put up flyers and I opened this up to people of all majors, all years. And then I gave another seminar to a business class that was taught by my thesis advisor. It was called Retirement and Estate Planning. It is necessary to point out that this class wasn't preparing people for their own retirement. It was more client-based, so it was teaching people how to prepare their clients for retirement. So it wasn't necessarily the exact same thing. But basically these 2 groups provided me a large spectrum of knowledge between the 2 groups. And then I gave surveys to see if I could see any changes in people's responses, both pre and post seminar, and then my results and conclusions, which I'll go into, and that I found very fascinating. So like I said, there is a problem with retirement today in the United States. According to Frontline and CBS, America is facing a retirement crisis. Now, it's really easy to focus on the crises that involve natural disasters or explosions or school shootings or something like that. But there is a retirement crisis, and it's something that a lot of people don't know about because it's a lot easier to kind of sweep under the mat because it's not nearly as interesting for news stories or news stations to cover, but yet people's lives still are equally as in danger with this. And here is why. This is because confidence is down. Since 2007, there's been a 69% increase in people responding that they are not too or not at all confident that they're on pace to retire comfortably. So in 2013, according to a Employee Benefits Research Institute confidence survey, 49% of people, 1 out of every 2 people said that they weren't confident about retirement. That's really scary, jeopardizing your life like that. And here is why. 46% of people that respond to that same survey had less than $10,000 saved in their retirement account. 29% of people had less than $1,000 saved in their retirement account, and 36% of people say that they don't contribute anything for their retirement. Does that make any sense to anybody? Because that's really scary to me. So what was my approach to educating students and trying to change this? Well, initially, whenever I thought about retirement education, I wanted to give a crash course on 401ks and IRAs and all the options available to everybody because that's the best way that you can educate somebody, is giving them all the tools that they're going to need. And whenever I was researching this, I myself got bored, and I'm interested in it. So I realized that this definitely was not the best way to educate people because they would have all zoned out and it would have just turned into another class that nobody would have paid attention to and nobody would have gotten anything out of. So I realized that I had to switch my focus away from the cold hard facts, and I wanted to then kind of scare people into saving for retirement. So I wanted to show them the same facts that I just showed you. I wanted to show them all the risks that they're going to encounter whenever they're saving for retirement, and then hopefully scare people into kind of researching themselves and wanting to save instead of telling them you need to save. That was my approach. So I'll talk about the seminars that I did. Of course, I did mix some education in there. I did talk about the 401ks and the IRA stuff, but the 2 highlights that I had was I wanted to talk about the advice for college students, not only whenever they're in college, but also whenever they get their first job, and then I also gave a real-life example to show how all this information relates to people. Because nothing bothers me more in school than whenever you learn a bunch of stuff, but you don't understand how it really applies to yourself. So I talked about the tools, I talked about the risks, and I talked about all the importance. Retirement is shifting today. We're shifting away from a defined benefit style and shifting more to a defined contribution, meaning that people are taking more of a risk upon themselves. We all hear about the declining Social Security in today's society, which I believe Kevin will talk about. We're also all living more healthy. We're also living longer lives. Our mortality is increasing, so that means people have to save more for retirement because they're living longer. And then also people are just moving around more. There's a more mobile workforce. And all of this really made me focus on retirement education for these college students. And that was all stuff that I talked about in my seminar. So what was some of the advice that I gave to kids? Well, this is the advice that I said that people should be doing right now in college. This is the stuff that I recommended that they write down. And if they didn't take anything else out of my seminar, I said, at least try and do some of these things whenever you're in college. But really the theme here is to start forming habits. So I said, develop a habit of saving, learn to budget, become financially literate. So with this, I recommended just switch your homepage away from Facebook and make it CNN Money or Yahoo Finance or something like that. Just learn what's going on around you because you will need all of these tools whenever you go to save for retirement. I also recommended talking to your parents who might be preparing for retirement, maybe your grandparents who are currently in the situation, and you can learn a lot about retirement that way. And then that really prepares your mind. It prepares your psyche for actually setting aside that money whenever you go to start working. But here's where I suggest everybody to put into action everything that they've learned. I said, actually start your emergency fund, start your 401k, start contributing to that. And all of this will eventually help you down the road. So that was my advice that I gave to people. I also gave them an example, like I said. And the important thing that I tried to get across to people here was the importance of starting to save immediately. So if you look at this chart, you can see that if you wait 20 years to start saving, meaning that if your accumulation phase is only 20 years, which is at the very top. So if you start saving at 42 and want to retire at 62, you have to save 50 cents out of every dollar. You have to save 50 cents out of, or 50% of every paycheck, as opposed to if you start saving right out of college, you face a much more reasonable 11.28% of salary. And that's much more reasonable to me. And that's very much reason to start saving immediately. So how did I gauge if they actually learned anything? Well, like I said, I gave a pre-survey before I gave my talk to gauge a benchmark, retirement awareness, opinions on saving, stuff like that. And then I gave my seminar, and then I gave a similar survey afterwards to gauge a change in anybody's responses. And my results. I educated 58 total students here at RMU. I gave the seminar to 37 at the open seminar that were students of all different years and majors, and then 21 sat through the business class that I guest spoke in. The initial results from all the pre-surveys were definitely surprising, definitely not what I had expected at all, but they were very positive nonetheless. And then the post-surveys, whenever I compared the two, I did see that there was still room for improvement, which was good news. So this is the very first thing that I pulled from the results. This was the demographics of the open seminar, the people that responded to my flyers on campus. And you can see that there's a huge, the distribution is very much skewed to people that deal with money, deal with finance. Engineering and mathematics and business were much higher than nursing or communications or education like that. How prepared do you feel for retirement? This was very surprising because this is the pre-results, or yeah, this was the pre-results, and you can see a definite downward trend. So a lot of people definitely don't feel prepared for retirement at all. The business class was a little bit better than the open seminar, but overall, the blue line in total, it definitely slopes downwards. And then here's the similar question that people responded to in my post-seminar. You can see that this is a much better distribution. A lot of people responded 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, and that was really, really good news that I saw. Another question I asked was, how likely are you to start saving immediately? And this was in the pre-seminar, so this is what people responded before I actually gave my talk. You can see that a lot of people do value saving, although they might not understand what they're saving for or why they're saving or what the tools are. They do understand that they have to save. But at the same time, whenever I asked the same question in the post-seminar, you can see that there was still room for improvement, like I said, and the number of 10s almost doubled in that, which is also very good news. So the only thing that I can think that might have gone wrong in this question is it might have been a weighted question. I said, how likely are you to start saving immediately? And then people immediately put focus, saying, oh, well, I need to, and I probably should have changed the question that way. But otherwise, it is still very good news. And then another question that I asked was, did you feel that this seminar was pertinent and worthwhile to college students? And overwhelmingly, every single person responded to 7, 8, 9, or 10. So like I said before, there was very good news from all of this. You can see that whenever I compared the business class versus just the general population respondents, business students did take more control of their financial situation, and they were more willing to come to that open seminar. They generally do have a better understanding of retirement than non-business majors, and college students do appear to have the will to save, but they might possibly lack the knowledge. There is still room for improvement, like I said. I saw a 72% increase when I asked how prepared are you for retirement, and whenever I asked how likely are to start saving, I saw an upward trend of 12% in their responses, and it also comes in the fact that every student found the seminar helpful. So in my opinion, this gives evidence for semi-annual short retirement seminars at universities, not only at RMU, but hopefully everywhere. We could do it maybe on a larger scale and then compare changes for different majors, see if different majors get more out of the seminars than others. And we could do follow-up studies tracking these actual retirement balances. So, thank you very much.